Welcome to the Anime Podcast channel. My name is Benji, and today we're going to talk about chapter 1038 of One Piece, Big Mom vs. Law and Kid. And Oda loves giving his fandom blue balls, especially after the big reveal of Zunisha showing up in Wano. And with it being a break last week, it actually gave the One Piece community all kinds of material to theory craft and a little bit too much time on their hands. Because when we get a break, it always seems like the fandom, the One Piece fandom, goes into slander mode of One Piece. I don't understand it, but it happens, so it's whatever. But nonetheless, like I said, we're gonna talk about chapter 1038 of One Piece, Big Mom versus Law and Kid. But this chapter was awesome, and for fellow Law fans, this was one of the more hyped chapters of Wano. Now, as far as Kid goes, he does have his moments, but it's not necessarily in the way that you may think. But without further ado, no more wasting your time, let's begin. But we start the chapter off with the continuous cover page of the Whole Cake Island incident, and we get consequences. Now, what I mean by this is we both see Niji and Yanji, and both of them seem to be captured or imprisoned within Whole Cake Island. And watching them is Oven, a bitch ass. But also, the thing that also makes this cover page very interesting is to the right side, we also see a figure that's very familiar. And it seems like Puddin is actually onlogging both Niji and Yanji. Now, what does this mean? Now, in my opinion, I feel like Sanji is going to have some kind of role with this later on in the series. I don't necessarily know how Niji and Yanji will escape. Maybe Puddin may have some kind of, plan in place, or she can distract Oven. I'm not 100% sure, but this can be very interesting for later on in the series. But like I said, I really hope this is something very pivotal for Sanji's story later on, where he actually does get to see Niji, Yanji, and I really hope he does get a second interaction with Germa, especially knowing now all of the abilities that Sanji has been able to conjure, as well as I want to know the origins of what the raid suits a bit like, what the after effects of wearing the raid suit were, and who actually implemented that in order for Sanji to get all these enhancements now. So very interesting stuff. And like I said, I love some of the One Piece community. Like even when it's not a Sanji chapter, it's a Sanji chapter. So I love that. So moving on to the chapter, we begin with our favorite fight: Rhizo versus Floppy Ears. Yeah. And low-key, I've been hating on this fight pretty considerably throughout all of my chapter reviews, but I'm not gonna lie, I do like the resolve that Rhizo as well as Floppy Ears, I'm not gonna even try to pronounce his name, I know I'm gonna mess it up, but basically I kind of like the dynamics between these ideologies between both Rhizo and his opponent. Like I said, we'll see who comes out on top. Obviously, right now they're in a standstill, but I want to see who breaks first. Who's going to break their resolve first? That's going to be very pivotal, I feel like, for the story. And like I said, I know this isn't the most interesting fight, but it is cool to see a clash of ideals against each other. So later on, we actually get a glimpse of Jinbei after his epic fight versus Who's Who. And I don't care what anyone says, the Who's Who's fight versus Jinbei was fire. I liked it. So, that's just me. I digress. And basically right now, Jinbei is saving some of the Allied Alliance forces from the roof caving in. Now, this is all caused by Kizimbo. If you guys remember, it's the fire yokai that Kanjuro, another bitch ass, he manifested. Now, whether or not Jinbei has an instrumental role a little bit later on in the story, at least later on in this arc, I'm not 100% sure. But I do want to see a little bit more Jinbei love. I love Jinbei. He's one of my favorite Straw Hat members, even dating back all the way to Marineford. So I really hope Jinbei gets a little bit more shine. I don't necessarily know. Maybe he can go up against the CP0 agents. Who knows? But I feel like Jinbei's storyline at Wano isn't necessarily over just yet. So moving forward, we actually see Tiny Chopper. You see what I did there? Tony. No. Anyways, and basically the side effects of Chopper's rumble balls have subsided. Now this is cool, but I want you to keep in mind that Chopper at this point is also worried about ZORO and ZORO's condition. Now, getting ahead of myself, this is a little bit later on in the chapter, but we actually see Frankie looking for Zoro after he was kicked out of the whole Onigashima skull with his fight with him and King. Zoro and King is what I mean. Now, as we saw last chapter, or the chapter before, Zoro was in his bag. He was fighting King and he was able to actually come out on top. Now, as of right now, Zoro's condition seems pretty dire and he's really on the floor, I believe on the side of the Skull Dome. But this chapter, we actually get a new development for Zoro here forth, and it's kind of wild. You see, Zoro gets visited by the Grim Reaper. Now, it's not necessarily the Grim Reaper, but we do see a skeleton figure with a cloak and a scythe getting ready to basically approach Zoro. Now, this could be one of several things, but here are 3 things that I think it could be. Now, for one, it could be Brook cosplaying as a Grim Reaper and, you know, just trying to play around with Zoro, which I hope it's not, but I think that would be funny. And for number 2, Zoro could be hallucinating, and this could be a side effect of the mink's medicine. And this medicine was used to give to Zoro after his fight with Kaido in order to recover his body faster, yet he'll take 2 times the damage once the medicine wears off. And here is my personal theory of what I think it could be. Now, in essence, we do know that Enma is considered the king of hell. Now, in this chapter, what if in some way, shape, or form that Enma was able to personify itself or manifest itself into like an entity, the same way that Zanpakuto toes are used in Bleach. And this could be very interesting because in essence, maybe Enma is here to collect a debt that Zoro owes it. And that debt could be death itself. Or, I don't know, it could be anything. But at the end of the day, maybe, and like I said, I'm not saying that, you know, Zoro's gonna die. I think that the consequences within Wano are going to be very dire. So with that being said, who knows what Zoro's state will be after the conclusive battles of Luffy versus Kaido, Big Mom versus Law and Kid. So I do want to see what happens there. But nevertheless, I'm actually glad that Zoro's still interwoven into the story. He's had so many mysteries, and Wano is really Zoro's arc. So I really want to see how we can kind of explore a little bit of those. And this may be a nice little plot point that Oda put in order to really expand upon Zoro. But moving on, later we see a dope interaction between Rhizo, one of the former commanders of the Whitebeard Pirates, and the old CP0 agents that, murked Drake off screen. And, Drake has no bag at all, like, if you really think about it. Damn. Anyways, and this interaction is super dope and low-key one of my highlights of the chapter. And basically the CP0 agents approach Rhizo, and the CP0 agents basically are like, we're going to turn a blind eye, but we know who you are. And right before the CP0 agents are about to leave, Rhizo's like, hey, wait a second. Let me talk to you. But, like I said, I want to see, I don't necessarily know if Rhizo is going to fight the CP0 agents. Hopefully he fares better than Drake, because Drake got washed. But I do kind of want to see Jinbei hopefully take on the CP0 agents to have another fight, because that would kind of correlate with the Who's Who stuff. But from there, I'm not 100% sure, but I do want to see what happens. Now, after this interaction, we finally get to the Yamato reaching the basement part. And it's kind of cool, I guess. Like I said, I feel like right now in the story, Yamato just needs kind of something to do. Basically, she's going to the basement in order to make sure that the explosives don't actually get triggered by anything. And Kizimbo is right behind her, and she basically gets into a fight with Kizimbo. Now, as far as how this fight is going to go, I believe Yamato has ice powers in some kind of capacity. But, further on in the story, I do kind of want to see what happens, I guess. But I'm pretty sure Yamato is going to come out on top. I don't necessarily know how she's going to defeat fire, just fire in general, like the embodiment of fire. I don't know, fire yokai. I don't know, but Yamato's a waifu, so there's that. I know that has nothing to do with her storyline, but yeah, she's a waifu. Top 10 waifu, top 5 waifu to be honest, but that's just me. But moving on to the meat of the chapter. Pause. I said pause. Okay. And we see Big Mom versus Law and Kid. And it's not looking good, to be honest. And like I said, I predicted this last couple chapter reviews as well. But Big Mom really is like that. Like, you know, especially with her, you know, using 1 year of her lifespan in order to grow bigger. She also has the steel beam homies that she made the last time we saw this fight. And then, you know, just in general, her menacing presence is so overwhelming that I really feel like Big Mom is one of the strongest characters in the series. And basically at this point we see the crews of Law and Kid begging Big Mom to stop and to you know, let their captains go. Basically they're asking for mercy. And the funny thing is, Big Mom, she listens at first, but then she just knocks all of the fodder crew members from both crews out of the way and basically like, nah, you know, get the fuck out of my face. And Law's crew is pretty useless, and so is Kid's crew other than Killer. But yeah, that's basically what happened. And at this point, Big Mom is pretty much done with the battle itself. And Big Mom even reiterates that she hasn't heard Kaido's victory scream just yet. So she's, you know, kind of coming to the grips that maybe Kaido is playing with his food. And, you know, nevertheless, she don't necessarily know what's happening on top of the roof. Because Kaido ain't having the bestest of times, if you feel me. You know? Man, shut your... You know, he ain't, you know, he's struggling, you feel me? But nevertheless, her objective right now, since Law and Kid seem to be finished, is to go up to the roof and see what's happening there. But wait! My nigga Law ain't having it, and he uses his croom technique. Now, I really love this croom technique. To be honest, it's honestly one of my favorite moves in One Piece, I feel like, especially once it gets animated, especially with Law kind of like using this planetary orb around his hand and then engulfing his sword and then basically saying anesthesia. Now, I don't necessarily know how how this like awakening actually came to, you know, fruition, but I do kind of want to see the little plot points that happen a little bit later on. Maybe we get like a little flashback of both Law and Kid awakening their devil fruits. And yeah, oh, and really quick question, do you think Law has Conqueror's Haki in any kind of capacity? I know that we haven't got any confirmation, but I feel like it's in the realms that he could have it. He's a very strong character and he's very ambitious for his goals further on in the story. But basically, Law, he engulfs his sword in the same croom technique that we saw before. So basically, Law extends his sword, kind of like Gin in Bleach. I'm sorry for all the Bleach references. I like Bleach, so there's that. But basically, he extends his sword just like Gin in Bleach, and basically he stabs Big Mom. Now, the initial stab doesn't hurt. I think hence because it says anesthesia, but that's not the attack itself. You see, the attack itself is really what it does to your insides. And this panel is so crazy because once Law actually shocks Big Mom, you just see all kinds of blood splattering every single where. Everyone is shocked because Law really is in his bag right now. And the thing that makes it so really dope is I feel like people don't take into consideration the resilience that both Law and Kid actually show. I think their durability is almost up there with Luffy, not necessarily like, you know, hand in hand, but it's definitely up there, especially being able to take on Big Mom. In all honesty, really powerful Yonko. I'm gonna say this, there's a hot take. I feel like Big Mom has more in her bag than Kaido does in his, but that's just my opinion. Don't come for me. That's just my opinion, but that's just me. But like I said, the durability and the resilience that Law and Kid are showing is so immense and super dope. But like I said, Big Mom is shocked as well as all of her homies. And then we get this super dope quote actually from Kid that's honestly one of Kid's best quotes in all of One Piece. And check me out. And I quote, "I bet you anything Kaido is reaching his limit up there. If you give it long enough, even mountains can be worn down by rain. They say the emperors are invincible. What a joke. There's no such thing." And not gonna lie, this kind of quote from Kid, I like the fact that he says like the more rain it can weather down mountains. And you know, seeing these two peak individuals within the One Piece world, Big Mom as well as Kaido, and seeing basically like the supernovas are basically the worst generation that we know of, the strongest, Law, Kid, and Luffy, being able to weather those mountains down to the point where, you know, a new dawn is able to be seen. I really like this concept, and I really like this quote by Kid. Honestly, in my opinion, one of Kid's best quotes in all of One Piece. But after this, we actually see Kid use a huge attack, basically gathering all of the metal around him, and creates a raging bull that's even bigger than the already enlarged Big Mom. And then we end with this super dope panel at the end. I don't care if you kill me, you're not reaching that roof. And the chapter ends, and there's no break next week. Let's go. But I do kind of want to discuss a couple things before we conclude the video. For one, I really do like the bag that we're seeing from Law. I really love this Kroom attack. To be honest, it's one of my favorite attacks in One Piece. And this is in all honesty. And maybe I'm a little biased because I always loved Law. But, you know, just the Kroom and extending his sword. I wonder if Kroom can actually manipulate anything once it's, you know, engulfed in certain objects. That would be very interesting to see later on. Now the stuff with Kid, and I know JD Legend, big shout out to the homie. I know he was talking about Kid having absolutely no bag, but hey, low key, like, I mean, to have a character who is confirmed to have Conqueror's Haki and not have any Conqueror's Haki feats, wow, it's kind of disappointing, and I do want to see, hopefully Oda kind of divulges more into that Conqueror's Haki bag with Kid. But and then the only thing that I'll say is a little detriment to Kid is I don't really see, you know, Kid as much of a rival to Luffy in any kind of capacity. I was hoping to see that here, especially from Kid, but it's more so like the Law show in my opinion. But you know, with that being said, you know, I do want to, you know, I'm not gonna hate on Kid. I'm not gonna hate on Mid. No, but yeah, but seriously, I'm not gonna hate on Kid. I feel like hopefully later on he'll start to kind of come into grips with his powers and his abilities. Now, moving on, I really also want to see what transpires with not only Rhizo but also ZORO. Now with ZORO, like I said, I feel like Enma is personifying itself, and maybe he's going to make a contract with ZORO a little bit later on. And then we'll actually see some kind of lore into the King of Hell. I do want to see that. Now with the Rhizo stuff, I don't necessarily think that Rhizo will actually take on CP0 agents. I think if he does that in conjunction with Jinbei, I think that would be super, super dope. But but here's the thing, I don't necessarily know the position where Jinbei is right now compared to the CP0 agents. I know they're still looking for Robin and Brooks, so I do want to see what happens there. But thank you so much. Yeah, this is the end of the chapter review. I really appreciate all of the love and support. Really quick, new podcast episodes are coming soon, so stay tuned, my guys. Stay tuned, guys and girls. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you like these. And do me a favor, just go ahead and join the Discord. We talk One Piece every single week, as well as Sakamoto Days, as well as Jujutsu Kaisen. We talk all kinds of anime and manga over there, so go ahead and join right now. But with all this being said, let me know what you thought of the chapter in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you guys.